been my second home, and they've truly supported me. And
tragic news affecting Boston Celtics star
Cleveland! This is for you!
These are the most emotional games in NBA history. And maybe no game in NBA history was harder to watch than the Lakers' first game since the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 other passengers on that helicopter.
The loss of Kobe Bryant is hitting the LA community, the NBA community, the sports world, and in fact, people all over the world really, really hard.
Kobe's death sent shockwaves through the NBA and the entire world, as nobody could believe that the indestructible Black Mamba was no longer with us.
You know, I just don't have a lot to say.
But on January 31st, when the Lakers played the first game after his passing, the pregame ceremony melted the hearts of fans all over the world.
Tonight, we celebrate the kid that came here at 18 years of age, retired at 38, and became probably the best dad that we've seen over the last 3 years, man. So in the words of Kobe Bryant, Mamba out, but in the words of us, not forgotten. Live on, brother.
And like every team has done in every game this week, they will take a 24-second violation. Each team will do so, or perhaps an 8-second on the second team, in tribute to Kobe Bryant's 2 retired jerseys, number 24 and number 8.
Unfortunately, the pain of Kobe's death was a familiar one for the first pick of the 2010 NBA draft. In 2014, just as John Wall was emerging as an NBA superstar, one fan cheered for him more than any other. It was a 6-year-old Washington native, Demaya Telemack Nelson, who was in the midst of a relentless battle against the toughest possible opponent, cancer. Wall was more than an NBA star to Maya. He was her hero, a symbol of resilience and hope. Her hospital room was filled with posters of John, and his games became her sanctuary, transporting her beyond the hospital walls into a world where she could forget about her disease. And in March 2014, John visited her in the hospital, where they became friends. Maya just had one more wish to feel fulfilled, and that was to see her favorite player perform live. Then on the very next day, there she was, sitting courtside next to the Wizards bench.
It was a lot of fun. Because I get to play basketball, I will feel really happy about today.
However, on December 9th of that same year, Maya lost the battle with cancer.
Maya became really close with John Wall, and John, for the last couple of games, has had Maya's name written on his shoe.
That same night, with a heavy heart, Wall and the Wizards played against Boston, and they were down by 23 points in the third quarter. But John wasn't going to let his team lose. He dished out a career-high 17 assists and scored 26 points, including the team's final 10 points in a double overtime win. After the game was over, Wall couldn't contain his emotions.
Man, this is an emotional game for me. This is for Maya, one of my close friends I lost that I met last year. It's just tough, man. You know what I mean? To see a little kid that fights so hard for cancer and can't beat it.
Buck, obviously, John's very emotional, guys. We'll send it back to you.
Then in the 2017 season, Wall also played in one of the most gut-wrenching and most memorable playoff series ever. But this time, it was because of Isaiah Thomas. That season, a 5'9" Thomas was the 3rd leading scorer in the league with 29 points per game, and nothing could stop him from getting buckets, not even the greatest tragedy of his life. See, his biggest fan was his sister China. Ever since high school, she always traveled with Isaiah and cheered on her big brother, not missing any of his games. And then at the tender age of just 22, China's life was taken away in a car accident.
Tragic news affecting Boston Celtics star Isaiah Thomas. His sister was killed in a one-car accident early Saturday morning, according to Washington State Police.
For the first time ever, Isaiah wanted to give up and stop playing basketball, but he didn't. He couldn't, and it was all because of her.
I can't imagine the pain and grief he's going through right now. This happened to me one time, and I couldn't play.
Before the start of the second round of the playoffs against John Wall and the Wizards, Isaiah attended his sister's funeral and then flew right back to Boston to lead his team to victory.
Washington up by 1. Isaiah Thomas. He's not human.
In Game 2 of the series, IT scored an unreal 53 points on the same day that China was supposed to celebrate her 23rd birthday.
Crosses. Foul called and one.
Man, where is this coming from?
It's my sister. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday. She would have been 23 today, so everything I do is for her, and she's watching over me, so that's all her. The only thing about it is once I leave this gym, I hit reality, and she's not here. So that's the tough part. But when I'm in this arena, I can lock in, and I know everything I do is for her.
Death and sickness remind us all to celebrate life. And there was no bigger celebration of it than the 1992 All-Star Game, which showed once again that people's lives are more important than basketball.
All-Star Game appearance,
Magic received a bigger standing ovation than any other player, and it's because he wasn't even supposed to be there. He didn't play a single second of basketball that season, because just 3 months earlier, Johnson held the most gut-wrenching press conference of his career.
Get after late afternoon, because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers.
Despite his retirement, the fans voted for him to play, and Commissioner David Stern couldn't ignore that. Magic was allowed to come back, and Tim Hardaway gave him his starter spot in what was one of the most beautiful expressions of fan love for any athlete in sports history. However, not everybody was thrilled with Magic playing. HIV was still an unknown disease, and some players feared for their safety. And then, before the start of the game, Isaiah Thomas hugged and kissed Magic on the cheek and relieved the pressure off Magic. Soon, every other player hugged Johnson, and Magic felt like an NBA player again. When the contest started, Irving showed everybody that he still had a lot of magic left in the tank.
Remember last year in Charlotte, Magic hooking over Zeke.
The West obliterated the East by 40 points, and even Michael Jordan couldn't do anything against the super-inspired Magic, who ended with a game-high 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists. During the last possession, Magic scored a rainbow three to the delight of the whole crowd.
Three-pointer, yes! Oh, my!
And deservedly won the MVP in one of the most special games of his career.
Maybe you'll see me back, maybe you won't, but I'll remember all these good times this afternoon. I'd like to thank you for sharing this with me. Thank you.
And when one player returned to the court where he used to be adored, he received the worst possible reaction in what was the biggest hate event in NBA history. It was December 2nd, 2010, when LeBron James returned to Cleveland as a member of the Miami Heat after he ripped the hearts of all Cavs fans.
And this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Fans have given their hearts to LeBron the last 7 years, and now LeBron has disappointed them all.
This is terrible. This is the worst thing that could ever happen to Cleveland.
I hope he never wins anything in Miami. He is dead to me.
5 months after they made the bonfire of LeBron's jerseys, the Cavaliers fans finally had the chance to express their resentment towards LeBron live. And this regular season game became a hate spectacle, unlike anything we've ever seen in the 77-year history of the NBA. From the time LeBron stepped on the court for warm-ups until the final whistle, the crowd was in a frenzy.
At 4, 6'8" from St. Vincent St. Mary High School, number 6, LeBron James.
James played by Parker. LeBron with the jumper. There is extensive security here, but you don't want to see some wacko run out of the court or items being thrown. Incidentally, beverages are being served only in paper cups.
The first time we went back to Cleveland, I remember walking out of the tunnel, and it wasn't just booze, and it wasn't just I hate yous. It was the look on people's faces. It was the things that was coming out of their mouths and like how raged they were, like in anger.
It was just pure negativity. If I was out in the street, I would have been nervous. Heat forward Udonis Haslem. Despite all the turmoil and several fights breaking out in the stands, James served the fans a cold shower, finishing with 38 points.
James, yes, my goodness.
And leading the Heat to a 118-90 blowout. And when it comes to the player LeBron always gets compared to, his career had plenty of heartbreaking moments. From his first unretirement from the game, to a buzzer beater over Elo, and the game winner over Russell. But the most emotional that Jordan has ever been on the basketball court was in the 1996 finals, right after he won his 4th NBA championship. When the final seconds ticked away and his competitiveness finally shut down for a moment, Jordan stood on the court, and his heart was on an emotional roller coaster. As confetti rained down and fans erupted in elation, Michael's thoughts drifted to his father, James Jordan.
I know he's watching. This is for Daddy. I'm very happy for you.
He's a voice of reason that always drove and challenged me. That's the type of father I am.
Like a friend?
Yeah, like a friend.
It was Father's Day, and his father had been his pillar of support, his mentor, and his biggest fan.
I always thought Michael would play baseball. Of course, he had that year that he grew so much, and it's just been a joy watching him develop into the player that the world can see today.
They shared an unbreakable bond, one that went beyond basketball. But in 1993, his father was brutally murdered.
I had him for 32 years, and he taught me a lot in 32 years. You know how many kids get that opportunity? Very few, in today's society, get the chance to spend that much time with their parents and get that type of influence.
And this was the first time his dad wasn't around to celebrate the title with Michael. Amidst the chaos, Jordan found a quiet corner in the locker room and laid on the floor hugging his championship trophy, crying his heart out. And for all the Knicks fans, there was also one particular moment that made everyone want to curl up and cry in the corner. It was 1970, and the Knicks were on the brink of their first title in franchise history. But then disaster struck. Willis Reed, the heart and soul of the team, had suffered a crippling knee injury in Game 5 of the series.
And Willis is hurt as the Lakers come up with the ball.
When I went down, I thought I was really hurt.
In Game 6, New York had nobody who could match up with the Lakers' Wilt Chamberlain, who dominated with 45 points and 27 rebounds. It was impossible to fill that void in the middle, and the despair of Reed's absence hung heavy among the Knicks players and fans. But then in Game 7, a miracle. Midway through the first quarter, Willis Reed emerged from the tunnel.
I think we see Willis coming out. Here comes Willis, and the crowd is going wild.
The fans are saying, everything's all right, the captain is here. And I'm saying, boy, this is a hell of a predicament to be in. A guy on one leg gonna play the greatest scorer ever. The only guy ever scored 100 points in a game. And I'm gonna try to do it on one leg.
Reed was able to play just 27 minutes, scoring 4 points and 3 rebounds.
On the forecourt, right side from 20, jumps, yes!
But his spirit and determination gave wings to his teammates and lifted the entire city of New York. The Knicks won the game and their first NBA championship, in what will forever be remembered as the Willis Reed game. And 23 years after the Knicks' first championship, there was another game in the NBA Finals where basketball wasn't the main story. It was June 9th, 1993, and the stage was set for Game 1 of the Finals between the Bulls and the Suns. But before the game, very few people were talking about Barkley and Jordan, because on June 7th, the NBA and the world lost a legend, a pioneer of European basketball in the NBA, and one of the greatest shooters of all time, Dražen Petrović. The Croatian shooting guard, who averaged 22 points per game for the Nets in 1993 and made the All-NBA team, and who currently ranks 3rd all-time in NBA three-point percentage, was in the prime of his career when a careless driver took his life.
A moment of silence was observed for Dražen Petrović. The Nets star was killed on Monday evening in a car accident in Germany.
So, before the finals, everybody had a sick feeling in their stomach. It feels like a death in the family, Charles Barkley said, and Michael Jordan even refused to believe it was true, after which he kept repeating, "You've got to live your life. You've got to live it to the fullest." And if there was one player who really appreciated Petrović, it was Reggie Miller, who once said that Dražen was the best shooter of all time.
I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. I mean, the best shooter I've ever played against.
And in 2005, when Reggie Miller was playing his final season, his farewell game turned out to be one of the biggest tearjerkers in NBA history. On May 19, 2005, the Pacers lost Game 6 of the conference semifinals against the Pistons, in a game where a 39-year-old Miller led all scorers with 27 points on 11 for 16 shooting.
After a bad foot injury, but they need him to get into the paint. Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller finds the open spot. Three-pointer.
But the real story began when he was taken out of the game with 15.7 seconds left in the fourth, when the crowd gave him one of the warmest standing ovations in NBA history.
And Carlisle's going to take Reggie out of the game to let him get the ovation.
And then, the Pistons coach Larry Brown called an additional timeout to extend Reggie's farewell.
That's a career.
All the players from the Pacers and the Pistons joined in the ovation, 6 months after they had the worst brawl in NBA history. Everyone had goosebumps, and Reggie's farewell rightfully won the ESPY Award for the best sports moment of 2005.
For 18 years, this has been my second home, and they've truly supported me, and I poured my heart and guts here. It's a class organization here.
If you want to see more amazing NBA stories, keep watching Nonstop. See you next time.